Hello, Volarco here, and today I will be doing a tutorial showing you how I went about modeling this cliff, which I used in the Breezy intro which you just saw. I actually really enjoyed making it. I came up with a fairly simple way to actually model it, and so I'm just going to start a new file, and we will begin. Okay, so I'm just going to start off by deleting everything. I just deleted the cube, but whatever. Then I'll delete everything inside the cube, but make sure you're in edit mode when you do this. And then I'm just going to go to top view and orthographic, and then I'm going to sort of set out the ridge at the top of the mountain. So I'm just going to hold control and click somewhere. And I'm going to click again. I'm just going to keep on holding control when I do this. I'm just going to sort of like make this like round shape, and this is the same shape that I used for the Breezy intro. And then I'm just going to go ahead and go back and try to subdivide any of these and any of the edges which have I'm going to subdivide all the larger edges so as to get a even distribution of the vertices. So that seems good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select parts of the edge. I'm going to select it to be normal, and I will hit Shift D to duplicate it, and then I'm going to drag it out on the X. Where I'm just going to go ahead and do this, duplicate you, move you out like to here. Now I can maybe take this section, move you out to like here-ish. I could also duplicate this, you get the point. And so on. Okay, so now from here, I'm going to split the view in half. I'm also going to remove the tool panel. I'm going to make this the front view, so I just hit 1, and I will select this big chain here. I'm just going to move it up along the Z. I'm going to move it up to like here. I'm also going to go to local now. I'm going to split this view one more time, and this will be from a side angle so we can see it here. So what I want to do is I want to select the edge which is closest to the bigger edge. So this right here seems like it. Then I'm just going to drag it up so that way it's fairly close to the top. Alright, then I will select the next edge, which is second closest, so that appears to be this one right here. Just going to move it up, but this time it's going to be lower than this one. So now we have all of our edges placed, and we can begin to actually do the extrusions, right? And so you see, doesn't look like much, but what we're going to do is we're going to select this larger edge. We're going to extrude it down along the Z. Make sure you hold Z. And we're going to make sure that it's completely level with this other edge here, right? And then from here, in this view, we're going to select these two vertices here. We're going to make a face, and we're just going to connect this down by pressing F, right? And then we're going to select this loop right here, along with these two. And we're going to hit E, and then Z, and we're going to bring it down to the next edge loop, which is right there. And we're going to hit F, and we're going to make a face there. Then we will select the rest of this. We will once again extrude it down to the next edge loop, which is right there. And then here it gets a little bit tricky, but what we can do is quite simply just select this and this. Right. So we'll just make a face here, and then from here we'll go forward like this, right? Instead of, say, going like this, because this creates quite a sharp corner, and I don't like that. So I'm just going to connect all that. Then once again, we'll just continue going down, and then I will extrude you down along the Z again, bring you down to the next edge loop, and then here, if you look here, this vertice is not very well placed, so I'm actually going to move these two now a bit. Remember, it's okay if you don't follow order, since we're essentially just making a bunch of rocks, and rocks have very little order. And so that is our base mesh done. So I'm just going to select this bottom part here. Make sure it's just the outer edge, because if like on this face, if I also select these and I extrude, it's going to create a hole. So I want to make sure I don't have those selected. And I'm just going to extrude along the Z, and this is going to be our bottom. Right now all the normals are flipped, so I'm just going to flip the normals. Now it looks better. Hopefully it's like more visible now. But this is our base cliff done. I'm also going to call this cliff. So from here, we're going to add a bunch of modifiers to make it as random as the one which we saw. So now I'm going to collapse all the views into one, since we only really need one. So the first thing I'm going to do with this mesh, I'm going to add some ring loops so as to make the geometry more similar, because you want these to all be basically at the same height. So you see how here this one's very thin? That's not going to look too good. But I mean, it's not going to matter too much, but generally it'll look better if it's more even, right? And I'm also going to select this top row here. I'm going to extrude it backwards. So we have the top of the cliff, right? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go subdivision surface. I'm going to set it to be simple and set it to 2 subdivisions. Then displace, and I will add a new texture, and I'll set this texture to be a cloud texture, right? And you can play with the size as you want. It doesn't really matter too much. And the strength, play with the strength. That don't apply any of the modifiers now. We're going to apply them later so you have more control. Then we want to add a decimate, and we want to just lower this ratio so it starts to decimate somewhat. Alright, and you can play around with it, you know, I think this is a good amount. And then we will add a triangulate modifier, right, shortest diagonal, just to get rid of any quads. And just like that, that is the cliff modeled. Right, afterwards I just went around and had 3 different materials and set them all to be random. But I will now, you know, add a basic material. Like all my materials were just diffuse. It's fairly simple stuff. Right, and then, you know, add like my lighting. You get the point. It's pretty bad lighting, but whatever. Right, and so this is our cliff modeled, and this is how I went about modeling it. And you can still see the clear levels. You may want to make if you want the levels to be more clear, what you can do is you can add a you can set the displace to be direction instead of normal. You can add one to be for the Y. Right, and then you can also duplicate that, so copy and add one for the X, right? And so just like that, you have very little Z movement, and the levels become very clear. However, I wouldn't recommend doing this just because I feel like if you also distort the levels, the different planes, it looks better. So I'm gonna set that back to normal, and yeah, and you can like play around with the amount of decimate you have, the amount of subdivisions you have. Right, but that's pretty much it done. Hopefully I'll be able to get more videos out soon. I've been pretty busy these past 2 weeks. But yeah, thanks for watching. Comment with any feedback, and goodbye.